Okay, let's get into this. You know that feeling sometimes. You find some corner of the internet, maybe late at night, feels kind of hidden.
Like a secret club or something.
Exactly, like a digital speakeasy. No big sign, but you just know something's happening there. And maybe the password isn't like spoken. It's more of an understanding.
Yeah, shared need for, well, keeping things low key.
Right. An anonymous torso pic might be the handshake, you know?
It's fascinating that these spaces even need to exist, really. It makes you think about how different everyone's situation is regarding openness and safety.
Totally. And that's what we're doing today, a deep dive into this world. We're using some really interesting info from menmeetmen.com as our guide.
Hmm.
Think of it like this. We want you, the listener, someone who wants to understand things, get the real picture quickly but, properly, to really get a handle on the lives of discreet men seeking other men.
Exactly. So our mission, if you like, is to explore why discretion is needed by so many.
Yeah.
And then where do these connections actually happen? Online, offline?
And how do they stay safe? The privacy side of things.
That's it. The strategies.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Why the need for discretion? It's got to be more complex than just, like, shame, right? This info suggests, well, a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. Shame can be part of it for some, sure, but menmeetmen.com really points to other big factors. Let's talk about what they call the hetero facade.
Okay.
This is often about guys who are married, maybe have kids, and it's complex because, there might be real love and commitment there, but also this desire for men.
Right, so it's not necessarily one or the other.
Not at all. And for these guys, finding someone online, the stakes are incredibly high. Their whole life structure could potentially, fall apart if things go wrong.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot to balance. Obligations, family, affection, and this other desire. You can see how privacy becomes less about hiding something bad and more about protection.
Precisely. Protecting different parts of their life. Then you've got community and creed.
Ah, okay, social pressure, religion.
Exactly. In some communities, coming out just isn't really an option. You risk getting cut off, losing your entire support system. It's huge.
That's a massive deterrent.
Yeah.
Easy to forget if you're not in that situation yourself.
Yeah, it really is. Safeguarding your place, basically. Then there's the professional paradox.
Work life.
Even now, some careers, they just operate on this assumption that everyone's straight. Heteronormative is the term.
Okay.
So being openly gay or bi in those fields, it could actually hurt your career, your professional standing.
So discretion becomes almost a professional necessity for some people.
It can be, yeah. A tough choice between being authentic and, well, keeping your job on track.
It's a reminder that progress isn't, like, universal yet.
Definitely not. And one more the info touches on, the journey, not the destination.
Waning.
Some guys are just figuring things out, exploring their sexuality, maybe curious, but not ready for a label or not ready to share it publicly yet.
Ah, okay. So discretion is like a safe space for that process.
Exactly. A way to explore without feeling pressured or labeled before they're ready. It's their own pace.
Like building a little walled garden to figure stuff out before showing anyone.
That's a good way to put it. And the material also points out, sometimes there's even judgment from within the LGBTQ plus community about being discreet.
Right.
But when you see all these reasons, the facade, community, career, the personal journey, you realize it's often about control, about finding a way to have authentic desires within really complex lives.
That makes a lot of sense. So knowing why, let's talk about where. Where do these connections happen? The info breaks it down into the analog underground and the digital domain. Let's start with the physical places, the analog stuff.
Sure. The analog underground. These are often the more traditional spots. Gay saunas are a classic example.
Right. Been around a while.
They have. And they're often built on this implicit idea of privacy. Anonymous entry maybe, not a lot of chat necessarily.
More about the physical connection.
Often, yeah. Dim lights, private rooms, steam. The environment itself helps with anonymity. And there's usually an etiquette, unspoken rules everyone kind of gets.
Interesting how the space itself encourages discretion. Okay, what else?
Swingers clubs, sometimes. The info suggests some traditionally straight clubs are becoming more open to bi or bi-curious men.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Different vibe from a sauna, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. More social, more structured. But the core idea of discretion between members is usually still pretty strong. But you definitely need to research specific clubs first. They vary a lot in focus.
Good tip. Not a one-size-fits-all deal.
Not at all. And then there's the oldest school option, cruising areas.
Like parks, rest stops.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Specific streets sometimes. But the material is really clear. This carries the highest risk.
How so?
Potential harassment, police attention, just unsafe encounters generally. It's described as needing like extreme caution, knowing the place's reputation, being really aware.
Sounds pretty risky. Why do people still use them then, maybe?
Good question. Maybe it's about a different kind of thrill for some. Or maybe, for others, it's the only option they feel they have access to. It's complex.
Definitely sounds like the Wild West, historically speaking.
Yeah.
Not for beginners.
No. So that's the analog. But the info suggests most discreet action now happens in the digital domain.
Apps, basically.
Yeah.
Grindr, Scruff,
Yeah.
the usual suspects.
Exactly. But it's not just being on the apps, it's how you use them. That's the key for discretion.
Like using private browsing modes. Incognito.
Yeah, that helps on the device side. And some apps offer specific privacy features, often if you pay for premium, things like hiding our distance or more profile controls.
Gotcha. And what about the profiles themselves?
Ah, yeah. The faceless profile, the headless torso pic, the landscape photo, maybe an arty, obscure shot.
Those aren't accidents, then.
Usually not. They're signals. They're saying, hey, I need privacy. The advice is actually not to push someone for a face pic too early if their profile is like that.
It's visual shorthand for, I'm being careful.
Precisely. Setting expectations without words.
Makes sense.
And crucially, firewall your life. Never ever link your Hookup app profile to your public Facebook or Instagram.
Seems obvious, but I guess people do it.
Apparently, yeah. It's a huge privacy risk. The advice is create a totally separate, anonymous email address just for these apps.
Build digital walls.
That's the idea. Keep things separate.
Okay, that leads nicely into this idea of OPSEC for desire. Like operational security, but for, well, this.
Exactly. Thinking strategically. One big recommendation is a burner identity.
Like a second phone number.
Yeah. Get one from Google Voice or a burner app. Use it only for this stuff. It adds a huge layer of separation from your main number, which is probably tied to everything else in your life.
Smart. Creates a buffer.
Definitely. And related to that is the information diet.
Meaning don't overshare online.
Right. Be vague. Don't give out your full name, exact workplace, precise location, your regular schedule. The analogy used is a jigsaw puzzle.
Don't give someone enough pieces to put the whole picture together.
Exactly. Minimize those digital breadcrumbs that could identify you.
Okay. And what if someone is pushing for info?
That's where the pushback test comes in. If someone online is really aggressive about getting personal details early on before you've built any trust, that's a red flag.
So just refuse.
Politely, yeah. Say you're not comfortable sharing that yet, and if they keep pushing, block them. It's a safety thing. Trust your gut.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Never feel pressured. Okay, so you've chatted, you've been careful. Now you're thinking about meeting the meet, safe havens, and neutral ground. What's the guidance here?
Hotels come up as a common choice. They offer privacy. Suggestions include maybe booking under just a first name or even a pseudonym if the hotel allows.
And pay cash or prepaid card?
Yeah, that adds another layer of separation from your main finances. Also, choosing a hotel that's convenient but maybe not right in your usual neighborhood.
Makes sense. Avoid being seen somewhere too close to home.
Right. And the info also mentions, again, places like saunas or clubs with private rooms are kind of designed for discreet meets.
But definitely not your place or their place for a first meet.
Absolutely not. Neutral ground is key, both for safety and just keeping boundaries clear.
Obvious, maybe, but worth repeating. Don't give away your home address first time out.
For sure. And interestingly, it cautions against seemingly safe public meetings, like coffee.
Why is that? Seems less risky.
The risk of being recognized, bumping into someone you know in that context could be awkward or worse.
Okay. Didn't think of that angle. So if you do eat publicly,
Choose somewhere less busy or go at an off-peak time. Minimize the chances of being spotted. And then there's advice on arrivals and departures. Like parking a bit away from the venue, not right outside, arriving separately, leaving separately, being aware of who might see you coming and going. Maybe even dressing neutrally, not drawing attention.
it's all about managing visibility, basically. Being thoughtful about who sees what, where, and when.
Exactly. Managing perceptions.
Okay, so once you're actually connecting with someone, maybe more regularly, setting the terms. Boundaries are your best defense. It sounds crucial.
It really is. The advice is be upfront about being discreet right from the start.
No surprises later.
Right. Get it out there early. Make sure you're both on the same page about privacy needs.
Honesty within the discretion, sort of.
Yeah. And don't feel pressured. If you're not comfortable sending face pics or doing video calls, you don't have to. A polite no should be respected.
And if it's not respected?
Big red flag. Might be time to step back from that connection. The info also suggests using messaging apps with disappearing messages.
Like Telegram secret chats or Signal?
Exactly, where messages can self-destruct after a set time, adds another layer of communication privacy once you move off the main Hookup app.
That ephemeral thing. Extra security?
And the core idea here is reciprocity. Mutual respect for privacy. If someone respects your boundaries, great. If they're pushy, dismissive,
Not a good sign.
not at all. Prioritize your comfort and safety. Walk away if needed.
Okay, what about cleaning up afterwards, digitally speaking? The digital breadcrumbs. Erasing your tracks.
Yeah, good app hygiene. Regularly clear out chat histories, delete old conversations, especially ones with identifying info or pics.
And photos.
Be careful with auto-saving images to your phone's gallery. Maybe use a secure encrypted folder if you absolutely have to save something, but ideally, don't save them at all.
Right. Minimize the evidence trail.
And browser vigilance too. Use incognito or private mode when browsing related sites. Regularly clear history, cookies, cache.
Basic digital housekeeping, but important here.
Very. And be cautious about cloud storage, Google Drive, iCloud, etc. Storing sensitive stuff there without really strong security and encryption is risky.
Okay. So being consistently mindful of the digital trail you leave.
Exactly. It leads into the next point, the long haul, discretion as a lifestyle.
Meaning it's not just a one-off tactic.
For many, no. It requires ongoing vigilance. It takes mental effort, that compartmentalization we talked about.
Keeping track of different spheres of life.
Yeah, and geographic awareness, being mindful of where you go, who might see you. Making those good habits burner numbers, separate emails, second nature.
Sounds like it could be tiring.
It can be. The info acknowledges the potential mental health toll and encourages seeking support if it becomes overwhelming.
That's important. Doing this totally alone could be tough.
Definitely. Finally, red flags and phantoms. Avoiding scams and setups. This is critical.
Because being discreet might make you more vulnerable.
Potentially, yeah. Scammers might target that desire for privacy. Things like catfishing.
Fake profiles.
Yeah. Perfect photos, vague details, always avoiding video calls or meeting up. Reverse image searching photos can sometimes help spot fakes.
Good tip. What else?
Blackmail or extortion. This is serious. It underlines why controlling your information, and especially explicit media, is so vital. Don't give potential blackmailers ammunition.
If it happens.
The advice is usually not to pay, as it often doesn't stop. Report it if possible, though that's complex when trying to maintain discretion. It's about prevention, mostly.
Right. Limit exposure from the start.
And fake meetups or robberies. Meeting in unsafe, isolated places is just asking for trouble. Always choose safe, neutral spots, especially first time. And like we said...
Tell a trusted friend your plans, even general plans.
Exactly, a basic safety net. And ultimately, trust your gut. If something feels off, too good to be true, pushy, risky...
Bail out.
Disengage. It's not worth the risk.
Wow, okay. That's a lot to consider. It really paints a picture of the complexities involved.
It does. And as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, the main takeaway is that the choice to be private is valid. You know, it's often driven by real complex circumstances.
Yeah.
And all these tools and tactics we've discussed, based on the info from menmeetmen.com, they're about harm reduction, about enabling safer exploration of desire.
It's not about judging the secrecy, but understanding the reality and offering practical help.
Exactly. Being cautious, using these strategies, it's about agency. Owning your desire, even if you have to do it quietly for whatever reason.
Well said. And speaking of practical help, if this discussion resonated with anyone listening, or if you're just curious to learn more, menmeetmen.com sounds like a really solid resource.
It does seem positioned as a kind of trusted guide for this specific world. They offer audio guides, safety tips.
Yeah, info on cruising culture, how to use apps discreetly, sauna etiquette. Quite comprehensive.
It looks like they aim for clarity, honesty, and importantly, no judgment. Whether you're just curious or actively looking for connections or information.
Right, covering everything from meeting offline without apps, to navigating saunas or clubs, to comparing different apps based on privacy features. Lots of practical stuff.
It seems like a really dedicated hub for anyone needing guidance in this area.
So yeah, for anyone wanting to explore this further, get more detail, check out those resources, the place to go is menmeetmen.com.
Definitely worth a visit if this topic is relevant to you. menmeetmen.com.